All right. Excuse the hair. Coronavirus has prevented me from going to the haircutting place of my choice, among many other things. I don't talk into a mic to make a video very much anymore, but this has been weighing on my brain for quite a while now. Sony has released visuals of their controller. It's neat. It looks like the Xbox controller and the DualShock controller had a baby. It looks alright, except that the insides of the handles look like they'll cut you if you squeeze too tightly. But that's none of my business. My real issue is that Nintendo announces Animal Crossing New Horizons, released on the same day of Doom, which, as a result, it gives us about half a year of nothing but Animal Crossing and Doom memes, covering approximately 10% of the entirety of Twitter's front page and mentions, followed by Xbox, Microsoft as a whole, announcing Game Pass Ultimate, things like that. And the Xbox Series X, they were inviting people to come in to take it apart and put it back together, to literally piece by piece take apart their console. And the Xbox One X was also a similar situation where they did the exact same thing. People were coming in and taking it apart and putting it back together because it was compartmentalized. The Series X is also compartmentalized. It's something like 8 pieces, which is insane to me that you can just lock up a console like that and take it apart, although it is a prism, so not too weird. But Sony, despite being Sony, has done nothing of mention. They've released specs. They showed off a logo, which to everybody's dismay was not in fact part of the presentation of the console itself, and will never be, because nobody was impressed by it and nobody was excited by it. The specs were alright. They're pretty fucking good. And then they showed off the, again, you know, the controller. But they have no identity. I was racking my brain right there to try and figure out whether or not what I was saying was correct or not, but yeah, no, yeah. Go to the PlayStation tag on Twitter, you're met with nothing but people comparing the controller to the Xbox controller, which is not okay as far as branding and everything goes. Similar to the New Horizons and Doom thing, where they weren't comparing one game to the other. Obviously, they're completely different games. They were combining the games and creating memes, videos, stuff like that, and creating a brand new sort of imaginative combination product. But all of these memes literally are just comparing the what's it called, the DualSense controller to the Xbox controller, or making memes about how it's not a good controller, to quote some of them lightly. But despite all of this, again, Sony has no, the PlayStation has no face in this year. You don't, when somebody tells you Sony, I'd imagine the first thing your brain jumps to is Naughty Dog or the PlayStation. But it doesn't go much further than that, because it stops at PlayStation. As of this generation, there's no real personality, no face, no display, nothing that pops into your mind, other than perhaps the extremely imaginative and very, very in-depth logo reveal that told us everything that we need to know about what is going to be coming from Sony in the future. That bothers me. I want to know what's going on with their console, why they haven't talked about it at all, outside of the specs. What is the design of this thing? And the problem with how they've currently done things is that people aren't excited anymore. Hype leads up to a big reveal. But the hype came before the logo. Uh, and after the Series X, and as a result, a lot of that hype died when the logo was released because people thought it was going to be more. And then it sort of drizzled even lower once they did the developer conference. Because the developer conference wasn't for consumers. It without a doubt, was not made for people like me or someone who actually buy a PlayStation. But because it ended up being spread around as some sort of a presentation and not being properly labeled, the hype for the PlayStation 5 sunk even lower. And that brings us to the controller. Now, this is 3 announcements that you've made, Sony. This is 3 announcements, and none of them involve the actual console itself, and that irritates me. I have no plans of buying a PlayStation, but as a consumer, between the Switch doing what it do, and the Xbox Series X having so much, like, FaceTime on the internet, you're not doing much. I'm gonna be real with you, Sony. If the announcement comes the next week, fuck, hang me. But I don't know, man. I don't think there's a single person who is excited or hyped anymore because of this roundabout fuckery that you have decided to prance around to the general public as a show of the fact that you're still working on shit. It's like buying an early access game, Star Citizen, and then it just not happening within a feasible time frame. Star Citizen. That's what you're doing, Sony. You've gone through all these stages. You've worn down your consumers to the point where none of them are gonna go, "Oh, Sony's making a fucking announcement. I sure can't wait for fucking, I don't know, Sunday. Oh, it's gonna be Thursday this week, Jimmy. Oh, shit. I'm so hype." I don't know. It's, as an onlooker, it bothers me. That should say a lot. I bought a Switch specifically for Animal Crossing. It was my first console purchase since the DS fucking I. I missed a generation. Or 2. So, it's like I'm not an Xbox, like, fanboy or anything like that, and I want to see, I want to see this shit. I'm not excited for it to come out. I'm just really fed up with not seeing it. And I can imagine that there are so many people out there who are feeling the exact same way as I am right now. That is some fuck shit, Sony. That is some fuck shit. Alright, I'm done.